we all want simple answers to things, right? We want to be able to just know, just tell me the bottom line. Just tell me, what is it that I need to know? What is it that I need to do in order to understand the world and how to navigate through this situation? Because if things seem too complex, they just seem too stressful. And I want to tell you, the world is just a complex, messy, nuanced, and chaotic place with very, very few simple answers. I mean, the only one that I can really think of off the top of my head, right, is if you're going to invest in stocks, buy low and sell high. Other than that, that's about the only simple answer that there is out there. Everything else is, things are just complex. The world is complex. Human beings are complex. And there is a real tendency oftentimes to try to just feel overwhelmed by it all and just want a very simple answer, right? And this is why people join cults, and this is why people, buy into the whole idea that the whole world is run by Jews kind of thing, right? Which we're all, we're all looking for some reason why things are happening. And the reality is that it is very rare that there is some reason why things are happening. Most of the time, it's because there is a confluence of things that are going on, right? When it comes to our health, it's rare that, back pain is caused just by a thing. There may be an identifiable nerve pinch or something, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on metabolically and all of that. And, my undergrad was in nutrition biochemistry, and one of the things that I really came to appreciate is how complex the human body is, right? I mean, if you think about just metabolically, the human body is like this massive, mobile with all these balances and weights and all of that. And if you took a medication, for example, and hung a banana on one part of that mobile, the whole thing would shift, right? This is why we get side effects and all of that sort of thing. And the thing is that everybody's big elaborate mobile is designed differently. So what I always offer to people is just to avoid the temptation of trying to find an answer to why things are going on, right? Why everything is bad. It is rarely one thing. And instead is develop what is called some ambiguity some ambiguity tolerance. So instead, develop what is called ambiguity tolerance, where it's like, you know what? I am just going to be okay with not knowing and being open to learning more. Because everything in this world, there are a lot of moving parts. And the more that we can just understand the complexity of what is going on, the more that we will be equipped to function and to operate and to act in an intentional way that will give us the greatest likelihood of success, right? Because when we understand, like in finance or in health or in geopolitics or in psychology, it just doesn't matter. In business, it just doesn't matter, because there are a lot of factors that are all playing into the world. And we can't just take a very simplistic, if I do this, then everything will be fine, right? Even though that's very, very tempting. And people sell that little simple answer thing all the time, right? I see it, oh my God, I see it on YouTube and I see it on the internet all the time. It's like, here's the one thing you need to do. Doctors are really mad about this new breakthrough, this one thing you can do, and in 30 days you'll be blah, blah, blah. And the reality is that's just not how the world works, right? And if you can just get to a place where you can just accept the fact that the world is complex, the human body is complex, societies are complex, the world is complex, the universe is complex, physics is complex, everything is. And just allow yourself to be okay with not always knowing. Just become okay with not having to have the answer, but rather just open yourself up to learn. If there is something that seems confusing, like what is going on with my relationships, for example, and why do I struggle with my sense of self, or why do I blah, blah, blah. Instead of looking for a simple answer, just say, you know what? I want to learn as much as I can about this. I want to understand, like, what are all of the things that may be contributing to this relationship piece. You know, for example, if you're struggling in a relationship, there's oftentimes, you know, some emotional stuff going on with your partner that has nothing to do with you. There is likely stuff going on with you, oftentimes from, you know, some childhood stuff or things that you experienced earlier in life that are showing up in the relationship, that are affecting the relationship, that have nothing to do with your partner, right? And then there's the complexity of, like, how to use words, you know, how do you navigate through conflict? There's a lot of stuff that goes into the success of a relationship. And it's not just about, it's not just about love languages, right? I mean, things are much more complex. And if you just allow yourself to just to sit with some of that ambiguity, an interesting thing happens. When we look for a simple answer and we're like, okay, that's it. What happens in our mind is that we are no longer receptive to other important information that would help us navigate through challenging situations, right? But when we can just sit in a place where we can just be open to understanding and looking for some other things that might be going on, and consider that, you know what, even something that seems simple, like every time I'm late, my partner gets upset. Even though that may seem like a simple situation, there are likely many factors that are going into that. And if we can just, instead of trying to find a simple answer or think that we know what the problem is, right? Just open ourselves up to exploring and understanding some of the more complex and nuanced things that might be happening in that relationship. We will be better able to navigate through that relationship because we will understand it more. And the same thing is true with the world itself. Oh my God, right now the world is in a state of chaos, and it is really tempting to say it's aliens or it's Jews or it's Trump or whatever, right? But the reality is that there's a lot of things that are contributing to this. And the more that we can sit back and just try to understand and allow ourselves to learn more and listen to a lot of different consider a lot of different things that may be in play, it just allows us to be less stressed and more empowered. So I would just keep in mind that there are very, very few simple answers in life. And I wish that there were. Really, I really wish that there were, because it would make things so much easier, but that's just not how the world works. We'd love it to be, but it's just not the way that it is, right? The world is a very messy, complex, and nuanced place. And the more that we can shy away from trying to find simple answers and simple explanations and just open ourselves up to understanding, just to understanding the nuances and the complexities of what is going on, and step outside of our comfort zone actually a bit and and explore some viewpoints that may, initially not sit well with us, right? And try to understand some different viewpoints, we just get a much more complete picture of what is real. And that is much more empowering than trying to find a simple answer. And it's more doable. It's more achievable, right? And it is more aligned with what is real. So I hope you found this helpful. Talk to you soon.